in different directions. It's fine.
All right, Yoga for Wellness today. If you like to use the chair for balance, grab a chair. We're going to do some balancing stuff. We're going to do some funky Warrior 3 stuff. Grab the blocks if you like to use the blocks. And we're going to give options today. So, challenging yourself. I'm going to give challenging options for some of the things that we do. But if you're the person that always challenges yourself and always pushes yourself, the actual challenge for you might be to back off and go a little gentler and do the gentler version and see if you can still remain strong and focused. So just take a little look inside and see how you're doing each time I offer a variance. And see where you're at and if you can be honest where you're at. Sometimes we push ourselves, and that's great. But sometimes it's harder to back off and be gentle and do what our body needs at the time. So see if you can do that. It's actually more challenging than it sounds. Gentle yoga is harder.
I definitely need to back off and be gentle.
Huh?
I said I definitely need to back off and be gentle.
And if you're the type of person that always takes the easy route, I challenge you to do the harder route. All right, so we're going to start seated today. So come to a seat, comfortable seat. Find your breath. Find your hips. Find your shoulders. Maybe give them a little wiggle. If you're comfortable closing your eyes for a moment, close your eyes or just bring your focus to something just ahead of you and soften your focus. Get a little taller in the spine. See if you can feel like somebody grabbed the skull and pulled it a little longer. Hold you up out of the ground. Bring the palms to face up in your lap and soften the hands. And we're going to just begin with a gratitude practice. So you're going to bring to mind 4 things that you can be grateful for. Try to make them nice and simple and uncomplicated. Maybe you're just grateful for the weather. Maybe you're grateful for this time. Try to find 4 things that you can be grateful for. You're going to attach them to each finger. So taking your thumb, bring your thumb to your index finger, your first finger, and take little circles of your thumb on your index finger on both hands. And then think of that first thing that you're grateful for. Then take the middle finger, make little circles with your thumb on the middle fingers. And think of the second thing that you're grateful for. And take the ring fingers, 4th fingers. Little circles with the thumb on these fingers and think of the 3rd thing that you're grateful for. And then the little finger, think of the 4th thing you're grateful for. And then we're going to take rounds nice and slow, tapping 1 finger at a time to the thumb, saying in your mind or maybe even saying out loud the thing you're grateful for. Moving on to the next finger, moving on to the next, taking rounds nice and slow. And challenge yourself to even bring a soft smile to the face. And if your eyes are closed, maybe dropping your focus of your vision a little behind the eyelids. Maybe imagining peeking from the backs of your eyes towards the middle of the forehead with a little soft smile on your face. repeating 4 things, 4 simple things that you are grateful for. Complete a full round and allow your hands to just gently soften open. And notice any changes from when you first sat down. And then gently float the eyes open and we'll begin to move and breathe. Inhaling, lifting arms up overhead like zombie arms, and exhaling, bringing them down. Maybe bringing some movements to the hands as fingers as we do this. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring the arms down. If you like, you can start to also bring a little spinal movement. Inhale, lifting the sternum, opening the chest. Exhale, a little hollow out of the belly. Hands down, soften the shoulders. We're going to move from the rib cage up, taking the rib cage in a soft, slow spiral. And then reverse or circle. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, drop over to the left side. Inhale, center. Exhale, drop over to the right side. Nice and slow, connecting with your breath. Bring it back to center, reach up tall. Exhale, bring the elbows down and behind you. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw the elbows, strong arms. Bring the arms down and roll the right shoulder all the way up to the ear. Take the right shoulder all the way behind you. All the way down. Left shoulder all the way up to the ear. All the way behind you. And all the way down, nice and slow. Both shoulders all the way forward. All the way back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. All the way forward. All the way back. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then draw the shoulder blades up. And let that go. Make your way to a tabletop position. So landing in a tabletop, we're going to move and breathe here. Inhaling forward and exhaling backwards. to tabletop. And set up nice and strong. Bring the right leg out hip height. Hold it here. We're going to bend the knee and bring the knee towards the right wrist. And then bring the knee down and then bring the leg out straight. Bend the knee, bring the knee to the right wrist, down, and then straight. Nice and slow. Full range of movement in the hip. Watch for compensation patterns in the lower back. Squeeze the core. It's a slow and controlled movement. Take the toes out long. Lower the toes. And then press through the heel, opening up the back of the leg. Keeping the toes down, we're going to open the hip. So we're going to pull the hip open, right hip open, and then close. Nice and slow. So trying to find some muscles in front of the hip to make this movement. Open, and then closed. You can have the right hand down or up. Small movement, just finding the hips, finding the legs. Bring that right leg down. Take the hips all the way over to the right and funky child. And back to tabletop, setting up nice and strong in the arms and shoulders, chest, left leg out long. Hold and balance with the left leg long, stomach engaged, glutes are engaged, leg is engaged. Bend the knee, bring the knee towards the left wrist, down to the chest, and then out. Nice and slow and control. Find more muscles. Connect with the muscles around the hip. Look for compensation patterns in the neck, the back. Soften the face. Take the right leg long, lower the toes, press through the heel. And then keeping your toes down, you're going to lift the left hip up to the sky and then lower down, face the ground. Left hip opens and then down, nice and slow. And with control. Squeeze the glutes here. Squeeze the legs. Squeeze the muscles in front of the hips. Feel like you're trying to pull your hip bones back together.
That's possible.
It's not possible.
Oh.
It's a cue. Take the hips. Bring back to tabletop. Take the hips all the way over to the left in a funky jump. No, it would be extremely hard to have strong enough muscles to actually adjust your hip
I was
bones.
gonna say, I think I would have learned about the ability to actually adjust your hip bones in training. I was like, man, I can learn how to do that. I've been having hip problems for ages.
You're not actually adjusting your bones. You're just engaging the muscles across the front of the hips. Bring it back to tabletop. Take the arms really wide and quite a long distance in front of the shoulders. So set up with arms ahead of you, wrists with lots of space. Toes can be tucked, knees can be hovered. We're going to engage our lower core and hold here for a little bit. Press the hands away from you and get a little stronger in the arms and chest. And then we're going to come a little bit forward and then lower back. So if the knees are lowered, you're just going to move forward. If the knees are hovering, you're going to feel like you're pushing from the balls of your feet to come forward. So you're engaging from the balls of the feet all the way up the legs, into the lower core, in across the chest. And your hands are actively strong on the mat. You're pushing into the mat, pushing your hands away from you. Engaging all of the muscles of the arms and chest.
Just got tired.
Lower down. Send your hips back. Child's pose. Take a breath. We haven't even gotten to our feet yet, and you're tired.
Yes.
Bring it back to tabletop.
I get tired of the classes where we don't even leave the floor.
So we're going to set up for baby half moon. Left knee behind left wrist. Turn so that you have your left knee, left wrist lined up, and you can bring your right leg in about the same line. Everything engaged. We're not looking for sinking down into the shoulder. We want to lift up out of the ground. Lift the right shoulder so it's starting to be in line with the left shoulder. Right arm can go to the sky or onto the hip. Mindful of the wrist. If you're feeling pressure in your wrist, take your wrist a little bit further away from the shoulder, not directly under the shoulder.
Don't try to hop it. It doesn't work.
Hold here. Feel this pose. Feel some strength in this pose. We're going to build upon this later. Slowly bringing the right hand down, right knee down. Little adjust, and then sitting up for the other side. So right knee lines up with left, right hand. Then left foot comes in line. Set up, strong core. Breathe and hold.
Does your shirt say numb or stay?
Slowly bring it back through tabletop. Tuck the toes and find your way to down dog. So lifting up out of the ground, out of your wrists. Make some space for your wrists. And then find some movement in down dog, maybe bending the knees, maybe lifting and lowering the heels. Find what feels good for you today.
I think sometimes when you say down dog, my brain gets excited and autocorrects into child pose. I could have sworn you said child's pose.
You're going to start to move and breathe in down dog. A little bit challenging. So inhale, lift the right leg, bend the knee, exhale, bring the right knee towards the right elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring the knee in center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cross the body. Inhale, lift. Exhale, center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, all the way right elbow. One more round. Inhale, lift. Exhale, center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cross. Inhale, lift. Exhale, center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, right elbow, right knee, hover. Hold. Lift up. And then step the right foot beside that right wrist. Find some movement here. This is a good place if you have your blocks to use. Your blocks. So moving forward, inhale, weight forward on the right leg. Exhale, sending the leg towards straight. Inhaling forward and exhaling backwards. I use the blocks to help me remember not to sink into the joints, but to keep the muscles active. that same hip movement, focusing a lot on the hips today. So coming forward, landing in a low lunge so that you're not really sinking onto the front leg. Chest is lifted. And we're gonna hover and lift this left hip open and then back down. Left hip open and back down. You can do this without holding onto the blocks, and if you want to challenge yourself, take your arms all the way out to do this movement. Make your torso a little heavier. Nice and slow and with control. Bring it to a low lunge, bend the knee in the back, and come all the way up with an inhale. Find your high lunge where you're nice and strong and balanced. Move and breathe here. So inhaling, lifting the arms, straightening the leg. Exhaling, bringing the torso forward, sweeping the arms back. Lift and hold, high lunge. We're going to go on to our balancing sequence. So you might want to pop this back leg in just a little so your stance is a little more balanced. Strong in front of the hips. Find your balance. You're going to inhale, lift and straighten. Exhale, lower the knee. Inhale, lift, exhale, pop over and pop this back leg up. Hold. And then bending the knee. We're going to do that same movement we did before. Bring the knee all the way forward and then all the way back.
That's not the movement we did before.
All the way forward. We did this when we were in tabletop.
We came down.
All the way forward. All the way back. Lower slowly down. High lunge. Find your high lunge. Round down. Frame out the front foot. Press into the ground. Let the right foot, right knee bend, foot hover. Place the foot down and just press into the foot a little bit. So see if you can open up on the right hip a little. Hovering pigeon. And then take the right foot back to meet the left, high plank. Lower the knees. Child's pose. Come up to tabletop, and we're going to set up again for that baby half moon. So left hand lines up with left knee. Come on up to your half moon. Make sure you have space for this left wrist. We're going to be here for a while. If you really want to get crazy and challenge yourself, you're going to try to do this all the way up inside plank. So holding inside plank, holding in half moon. Get steady and stable first. Lift the top leg. Tap the right leg over the front. Up and over the left. Nice and slow and with control. Not heavy. If you're dropping it, you're going too fast. This is a challenge. Squeeze the core a little more. Believe it or not, your lower core helps your leg move.
Doesn't. She told me I can move my foot with my stomach.
Bring your back to tabletop, nice and slow. Back to child. See how you feel. Catch your breath. way up to a down dog. Pedal it out, find your breath. We're going to move and breathe here. Inhale, lifting the left leg high. Exhale, bringing knee to left elbow. Inhale high. Exhale, knee center. Inhale high. Exhale, knee cross the body. Inhale high. Exhale, center. Inhale high. Exhale, left elbow. Inhale high. Exhale, center. Inhale high. Exhale, cross. Inhale high. Exhale, center. Inhale high. Exhale, left elbow. One more round. Inhale high. Exhale, center. Hold and hover. Lift up out of the ground a little more. And then lower the left foot behind the left wrist and set up for your low lunge. Finding a little movement, inhaling forward, exhaling, sending that left leg towards straight. Coming forward in your low lunge, getting nice and strong, lifting up off the left leg. Legs are entirely active. Lift open the right hip, and then pull the right hip back down to the ground. Nice and slow, and with control. Squeeze the glutes a little more. And then setting up in a lunge, bend the knee. Inhale, rise all the way up, high lunge. Moving and breathing in our high lunge. Inhale, lifting the torso, the arms, straightening the leg. Exhale, bending the leg, bring the torso down. Up, hold in your high lunge. Set up for our balancing. Inhale, lift the body. Exhale, lower the knee. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pop up the back leg. Bend the knee, bring the left leg towards the front. All the way back. Forward and back. Forward and back. One more time. And then all the way back. Find your high lunge. Settle into your high lunge. Frame out the front foot. Press into the ground. Lift the left foot. Cross the body. Hovering pigeon. Place the foot on the ground and press into the foot. Active pigeon. So we're not lowering the hips down. We're pressing into the ground with our arms. Press into your foot. Pull it back. Send the left foot to meet the right. Lower the knees. Child pose. Find your breath. set up for the left side, side plank. So coming through tabletop, left knee behind left wrist, lots of space for the left wrist. And coming to your half moon. Either in half moon, or if you really want to challenge yourself, you're going to come to side plank, full side plank. Left leg is going to come forward and then back, tapping forward and back. Nice and slow and with control. And then bring it down, child's pose. Find your way to down dog.
I fell over backwards.
Look towards your hands and either hop or take 1,000 tiny steps up to meet your hands. Find your feet on the ground about hip width apart. Bring your hands to your thighs. Get long from the crown of the head to the hips. And we'll bend the knees and send the legs towards straight. Bend the knees, inhale, rise all the way up, hands overhead. Prayer to your heart with the exhale. Couple of rounds connecting with our breath. Inhale up, prayer to our heart. Down to prayer, hold. Find your breath. Soften your shoulders and your face. Grabbing your block, if you have your block, you're going to take a giant step open on your mat. So come to the wide side of your mat, heels in, toes out. And take some movements. Press the inner thighs. So hands on hips, feel the feet on the ground, push into the feet like you're trying to push them away from you. Active, strong legs. We're going to bend one knee and then the other. Nice and slow and with control. And then slowly bringing the torso down. This is where a block comes in handy. You're going to hold on to the block. We're going to hover with your hands on your hips. And then we're going to move again. One side bends and then the other. Nice and slow and with control. The legs are not loose, the muscles are active. And then send the hips all the way over to the right, maybe moving your block a little over, inching your leg out, however your knee is comfortable. So we're looking for no tension in the knee. Muscles are strong around the knee is not in pain. Lean in, so leg is active and strong. Press the left leg away so the left leg is active and strong. Little pulses of the hips here. Small, tiny, controlled pulses. Slowly bring it all the way over to the left. Set up. Nice and strong. So we're not sinking into this left hip. Left hip is engaged. Nice and strong. Muscles are strong. Muscles are strong around the knee. Strong in the right leg. Little pulses. And bring it back to center. And a deep bend in the knees. Come on down to a seat. We're gonna plant the feet a little bit wider than hip width. So we're gonna start to move here. Sweeping the right arm over, land the left hand behind the left wrist, and open up this right side. Sweep it back over, land the right hand behind the right hip, sweep the left hand up. So start to inhale as you lift, exhale as you crunch over, inhale, open. And we're going to start to build, make it more fluid. If you like, you're going to start to press into the feet and lift the hips. Open up. Press into the feet, lift the hips. Feeling the side body open. Finding some movement in the rib cage. And then bring it on down to center. Bring the soles of the feet together. Maybe butterfly kicks with the legs. Bring the hands behind the hips. Soles of the feet together. Pull the knees down with the muscles of the legs. And then bring the soles of the feet together, hip width apart. You can change how you're facing on your mat. Bring it around. Knees are hip width apart. Sorry, knees are a little wider than hip width apart. We're going to take the knees all the way over to the right side. Let the left hip come all the way off the ground. Slowly back through center. Take the knees all the way over to the left side. Right hip comes all the way off the ground. So then start to take the same sweeping movement. Just opening, finding the breath. Inhale as you sweep the arm up. Exhale as you crunch and roll over nice and slow. Inhale up. Exhale over. Bring it back to neutral, and we're going to slowly lower to our backs. Don't get too comfortable yet. We still have some work to do. So we're going to get a little bit core focused. Just begin by landing on the ground. Try to find your hips on the ground. Press your hips into the ground. Press your rib cage into the ground. Allow your neck to be neutral. We're going to bring the knees above the hip. Engage the stomach to hold them here. Bring the heels up even with the knees. Hold here. Press the hips into the ground. Press the rib cage into the ground. Stomach should already be active. This should already feel like work. We're going to take the arms up overhead. Hold here. Hovering overhead, not on the ground. So shoulders, our rib cage is still pressing into the ground. Hips still pressing in the ground. Knees are still hovering. Bring the hands to touch the legs. And then we're going to bring the left leg, long left arm overhead, nice and slow. Back to touch. Right arm long, right leg long. And back to touch. Try not to move in the hips, squeezing the stomach. Pressing the hips down into the ground. Press the rib cage down into the ground. Nice and slow and with control. Find more muscles in the stomach. Find those muscles that are really close to the spine. Bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset. Find your breath. Squeezing the legs together. Pressing the hips down into the ground. Take the feet up towards the ceiling. They don't have to be directly pointing to the ceiling. A little angle. Press the hips down into the ground. Press the rib cage down into the ground. We're going to squeeze the legs together, actively squeeze, and slowly lower towards the ground. Find that point where this feels challenging, but you're not using your lower back. So a little bit of angle to the feet. Squeeze the legs, squeeze them more, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core. Take the feet a little bit over to the right and a little bit over to the left. Nice and slow and with control. Squeezing more muscles in the stomach and looking for compensation patterns. Try not to use the lower back. Try not to use the face. Soften the neck.
You said that I realized I'm just like moving my mouth in the direction I was moving my legs.
Always looking for compensation patterns. Hands should be soft. Breathe. Bring the knees back in. Reset. Rock it side to side. Bring the feet about hip width apart, pretty far from the glutes. So not too close to the glutes. Press the heels into the ground. And we're really going to work on the backs of the legs. So we're going to feel like we're pulling the heels towards the hips. Really pull tight. You should be active and strong. And the whole of the back of the leg, start to lift the hips just a little bit to a hover. Pulling the heels tighter, tighter, tighter towards you. Looking for compensation patterns in the face, the neck. Pull the heels more, lift the hips a little more. Hold. And then slowly lower the hips. Take a little side to side with the knees just to reset. Take the heels a little bit further away from the hips. Pull the heels back towards the hips without letting them move. Active and strong in the back of the legs. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the back of the legs, lift the hips, hold. Mindful to have a soft neck, soft face. Push the rib cage down into the ground. Pull the hips towards the rib cage. Pull the heels towards the rib cage. Find a little more action in the back. A little more action in the glutes. A little more action in the legs. And then lower the hips. Bring the feet closer to the hips and take the knees side to side. Nice slow shuffle. Roll over to your right side. If you have a block, you can use the block underneath your head or just place your head on your arm. Line up the hips, the knees, and the ankles. Knees are bent. We're going to do knee lifts, clamshell lifts, keeping the leg nice and strong, nice and slow, lifting the knee up, keeping the ankles together, keeping action in the core. Take the left leg long, about a 45-degree angle from the hip. Take the heel up and down nice and slow, trying not to shorten the gap between the rib cage and the hip. This is all from the hip down. Leg is strong and active. Take this left leg, reach it as far away from you as you can. Point the toes, reach the toes as far away from you. Maybe tuck it behind the right leg a little. Pushing back, and then open up left arm overhead, reaching from the fingertips to the toes, nice and long, opening up the left side body. Send the breath into the rib cage on the left side, as if gently pushing it between each rib. And then let that go and return to the back. Take a little side shuffle of the knees, a little side shuffle of the hips. And bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Feel left and right sides. And then you're going to roll over to the left side to set up. Hips in line, knees in line, ankles together, knees are bent. Lift and lower the right knee, clamshell lifts. Nice and slow and with control. This leg is not just flopping in space. Muscles are active. Take the right leg to about a 45-degree angle from the hip. Lift and lower the heel without compromising the gap between the rib cage and the hip. Strong leg. And then point the right leg long and tuck it all the way far away from you and then a little bit behind you. Take the right arm up overhead and stretch from the fingertips to the toes. Then slowly make your way back to your back. Take the right knee over the left. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Heels come to opposite shoulders. You can grab the shins. You're looking for the piriformis underneath the glutes on the right side. Take the tension out of the neck, starting to look for places to soften. Find your breath. Bring the knees back even with the hips. Take the arms so that the shoulders fall to the ground. So maybe palms are facing up. Let the right foot, come all the way across the body until it taps the ground. And then just feel an opening on right side rib cage. You can bring your left hand to your right leg. You can play with the angle of your right shoulder, opening up this right rib cage. Just mindful of any tweaks in the lower body, in the lower back. So if you have any unusual pinches in the lower back, adjust the knees, adjust the legs.
Do you smell garlic?
Hmm?
Do you smell garlic? I smell garlic. It smells like someone's cooking.
Probably you. All right, bring it back to center. Take left knee over right and draw the knees in towards the chest, looking for the piriformis left side, underneath the glutes.
I think someone's heating up something downstairs to eat. There's obviously. I'm just hungry.
Maybe you're just hungry.
I think I'm just hungry.
Slowly let the knees come about hip height, shoulders to the ground. Allow the left foot to come all the way over to the right side body. Let it land and then find where you feel nice and open along this left side. Slowly bring the knees back to center. Take the feet up to the ceiling. However they're comfortable. Legs can be loose. We're just getting the feet up above the heart. Make sure the back is comfortable. Take any wiggles you need. Point and flex the feet. Take ankle circles. Do what feels good here. And if you don't have a tight lower back or tight hamstrings, you can find your legs on the wall. So actually putting your legs up against a wall, and you can stay, if it's comfortable, stay in this for your resting pose. Remember, our resting meditation is about 15 minutes long, so be mindful. If this is not the most comfortable position you've ever been in, don't do this for your resting pose. Another option that has extremely similar benefits is to bend the knees and place them on a couch or a chair. Once you have your feet on a couch or a chair, your feet are still above your heart. Your hips can still soften into the ground. It is much less pressure on your lower back or your backs of your legs. Remember, when we go into our resting poses, we are not looking for stretching. We're done with the stretching. We're done with the opening. What we're looking for is finding ways to soften our body so that we can release tension. You cannot release tension if you're still competing with yourself and trying to be that gymnastics perfect splits or the gymnastics hips open. Resting pose is for resting the body and feeling the benefits of the class. We already did the work. So no more stretching and pulling on the body. Starting to find that position where you are comfortable. So maybe your legs are up the wall today. Maybe your legs are on a chair. Maybe you just find a pillow to put underneath your knees. And maybe you feel like full Shavasana today. So just starting to make your way over to your final resting position. Taking any little wiggles and tweaks you need to take. up at the chair. Show you how we do it at the studio to make it super comfortable. So we actually place.
Legs are not that long.
You need to move your knees. We actually place a bolster in by the chair to make sure that there's no draft. If you're up on a couch, you probably don't have this problem. If you have a chair and it has open legs, place something there so that you don't have the draft coming in at your hips. Another thing that you can do is wrap your legs with a blanket. It helps your legs know that they can soften. And if you have the tendency for your hips to flop open, you can place something in between your legs and the edge of the chair. That way your feet and your hips know where the end is. They're not just flopping open, they're finding something to lean against. So finding the ground, settling in. So we want to turn off fight or flight. Take a moment to look around at where you are. Take in the room. Understand where you're at. Take a moment to take in the sounds of the room. Notice any sounds that might pop up kind of suddenly. Try to notice them as a sound rather than thinking about whether they should or should not be there. Just notice that there is a sound that's there. And then perhaps taking a moment to say to yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. Start to feel your hips, this big heavy bone at the base of your spine, land on the ground. Let the bones sink into the ground. Let the muscles that help you run and fight and flee soften. Soften the lower back. Soften the thighs. Soften the front of the hips. And then gently walk your attention up your spine, looking for any holding patterns all the way up the spine. Left and right sides. Softening, letting go. Now pushing the shoulders into the ground. Let the shoulders land. Let the shoulder blades land. Let the neck be soft. And land at that point where the spine meets the skull. The other big heavy bone at the end of our spine. And we often have a lot of gripping and tension in at this meeting place in the back. It's almost like when we get overwhelmed, we try to fight that mind-body connection and clamp down right here. So imagine being completely and utterly soft in this space so that all of the messages from the brain to the body, from the body to the brain can flow with ease. Letting go, softening, opening. Bring a little awareness to your breath without control. Can you observe your breath? Learning to let go of control of the breath. Learning to allow it to be as it is. Softening the stomach, softening the torso to allow it to come in more fully on its own. Can you soften the sides of your ribs a little more? Allowing your rib cage to move with your breath. Can you soften across the chest and shoulders, allowing the collarbone to move with your breath. For our meditation today, we'll just do a physical body meditation, an awareness meditation. All of meditation is just practice. Practice, practice, practice. It's just like exercising the brain. Try to let go of right or wrong or frustrations, preconceived notions of how it should or should not be. We're going to try practicing being still, perfectly soft and still today. And just focusing on body parts. Finding sensation in body parts. Giving our mind one thing to think about for a little while. So see if you can become entirely your big toe on the right foot. Nothing else. You are entirely focused on the big toe on the right foot. Can you feel the toe, the skin around the toenail, the joints, the tip of the toe, the underside of the toe? Can you find sensation in the little gap between the big toe and the second toe? Become entirely the second toe. Find the gap between the second toe and the third toe. Become entirely the third toe. Find the gap between the third toe and the fourth toe. Find sensation in the fourth toe. Find the gap between the fourth toe and the fifth toe. Find the fifth toe, the tip of the fifth toe, the outside edge of the fifth toe, the outside edge of the entire right foot, the sole of the right foot, the heel of the right foot, the top of the right foot, ankle, lower leg. Find the back of the right kneecap, the skin on the back of the right knee, the front of the knee, right thigh. See if you can find sensation inside the joint of the right hip. Can you visualize this joint? how the bone sits in the socket. And then find the left big toe. Entire big toe. Space between the big toe and the second toe. Second toe. Space between the second toe and the third toe. Third toe. Space between the third toe and the fourth toe. Fourth toe. Space between the fourth toe and the fifth toe, and then the fifth toe. Outside edge of the fifth toe. Outside edge of the left foot. Sole of the left foot. Top of the left foot. Left ankle. Lower leg. Back of the kneecap. Skin on the back of the knee. Top of the left knee. Thigh. Land in the left hip. See if you can visualize the bone in its socket, the entire hip. Find sensation in the entire lower body from the hips to the toes, to the tips of the toes. As if turning on the mind-body connection to each and every little cell from the hips to the toes. And then thinking about your base, perhaps taking a moment again to tell yourself right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. Arriving home in this body, in this moment in time, softening in, land in that center point of the mind, allowing space for whatever is present here. Noticing that you can notice your thoughts, and then perhaps noticing a little space in between the thoughts. And then gently bringing your awareness back to your physical body. Bringing soft movements to the fingers and the toes. Slowly bring a knee in at a time towards the chest and curl up in a little ball. Make your way over to your side in a fetal position, whichever side is calling to you. Ground down and arrive back in the room. Take a moment to focus in on your heart wall. So our metaphysical heart, our heart center. When we go throughout life, we build up a little wall around our heart because it makes us feel safe and protected from the world. And what it often also does is prevent us from connecting into our heart center. So however you can connect with the heart wall, that was loud and scary. I don't know what that was. Oh, that candle popped. That was loud. So thinking about that heart wall, thinking about whatever you can do to visualize this heart wall. Maybe it's a brick wall, maybe you have some kind of visual that you can connect with this space. And imagine softening that wall just a little. Connecting within to that spark within. And perhaps thinking of one of the little stories that we tell ourselves, one of the negative judgments that we place upon ourselves. And imagine leaving it permanently on the mat. Maybe for today, we can let one of those judgments go. Think of all the harsh words we use towards ourselves. Imagine letting that go. And slowly make your way to a seated position. Bring your hands to prayer and heart space. Connect with this gesture of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our hearts. This gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete, exactly as we are. May we all know love, light, and connection. Thanks so much for joining us.